Do you love candles and home decor as much as I do? If so, you're going to love today's video. Welcome, friends. We're going to start out in my living room and we're going to have a little chat, and then I want to take you through the house and show you different ways that I have used candles in my home decor. I have loved candles for many years. Quite honestly, I was thinking about it. My love for candles began probably about age 12. I vividly remember going to my cousin's house, and I specifically remember on her dining room table, she would always have this pillar candle, and I specifically remember it was vanilla. I can to this day remember that scent. And without realizing at the time, that added such coziness to her home, and I just loved it. And that is what got me started in my love for candles. Through the years, you have always found many candles in my home. It didn't matter my time of life, I always had some. Now I will confess, today I actually have a candle cupboard. My love is a real thing, and because of that, I wanted to share with you how I choose to display and use candles throughout my home and my home decor. We're going to talk about everything from, of course, real candles, scented candles, beeswax candles, and battery operated candles. And I think that's important to talk about because a lot of people do not care to have a real burning candle in their home. As with me, I will confess that as I have gotten older, I have become more and more sensitive to the scents of candles. So I'm very choosy about what I buy anymore. But on that note, if you do not care for scented candles, you do not care to have the real flame burning in your home, look at the options we have today. What they have come up with as far as battery operated candles is amazing. Some of them look so real. I personally have used a lot of the battery operated in my home for a few years now, and from when they first started out, they did not have the timed feature on them, which I absolutely love. And I use them throughout my home, not just during the holidays, not just at Christmas. I use them basically through our fall and winter months. I don't necessarily have them going in the summer. And of course, with the timer candles, they're all over the place during the winter months. Nothing says cozy more than around 4:30, 5 o'clock, having those candles come on automatically, and it just adds such a cozy feature. And that is one thing I was going to talk about also. You hear a lot about Hygge, basically meaning cozy. I have done Hygge for years before I even heard the term, and I think that's what candles add to a home. And to be honest, with my home, no matter what stage of life I was in, I always wanted people to look at my home as a cozy home. Of course, we want them to think it's pretty or beautiful, but to me, more importantly, was cozy. So enough chatting. Let's go ahead and get started with our tour. I hope you learned something today. If nothing else, I hope you maybe get some ideas of how you can do little candle vignettes in your own home with items that you possibly already have. So let's get started. Now here's a little example. Obviously, I have burned this candle before, and I love the way beeswax candles look. I know a lot of people don't like the dripping, but I just love the character that adds to the candle. So I just have this one displayed when I'm not using it under a little cloche that I have. Obviously you take that off when or if you want to burn that candle. Now, what's better than to start with these? This is a very New England thing. These are let me see here. Semblance is the brand, and they are what is called a dusk to dawn. See if I can get that to turn on. You flip them over, and if you flip them over, you have a brighter light. You have two options, this one, or if you turn it over, you can have a more golden glow. It's what you choose. Anyway, these are, again, dusk to dawn, and they turn on and off as the light, as it gets dark outside. It's an automatic thing. Now, I will say they're not my favorite. Years ago, I had gotten some at the Christmas tree shops when I was out here, because my first trip out here to New England, I spotted all of the candles in the windows, especially all the older homes. It's just a thing they do out here, and I loved the idea. So I went to the Christmas tree shops, and they sold little, like, individual candlesticks, and they were more of a timer item. They were like $2 or $3. I couldn't believe it. To this day, I still do have them. And I used them in my home in Michigan. We had an older, the look of a farmhouse, so it looked okay. And I liked the look of these better. I saw them originally in a store in Peterborough, New Hampshire. Loved the look of them. They were a bit pricey. And then later that summer, I was in another store somewhere here in New Hampshire, and they had them 75% off, so I bought them. Again, they have a nice feel to them. I liked the dusk to dawn idea, so I thought. And I liked the idea that you could do either the white or the more orange glow. What I don't like about them is we go through batteries like there's no tomorrow, and they're, I believe, a C battery. And I would prefer to have a candle on a timer so that maybe I could have it go off, say 11 o'clock at night, because they are in the bedrooms also. And so that adds quite a bit of light to a bedroom, and some people may or may not like that. So for now, I'm using them because I made the purchase. I don't know what I will go to in the future. Speaking of which, I'm going to show you what's behind me because I really like those. Okay, so here's my mantle. Now, as you can see, these are battery operated candles here. This is a real candle. These are battery operated also. Now, the difference is these here are on a timer, so they automatically come on every night. I believe I currently have them set for maybe 5 o'clock. So they come on and they shut off after, I don't know if it's 4 or 5 hours type of thing. So I love those. These, what I really like about them, I wish they looked a little more real, but at night they do look real. They're perfect. But they come with this little remote, which is very nice because if you can see, obviously you have on off, and then you can put it on for a 2-hour timer, 4, 6, or 8, which is great. So far I'm loving them. The battery life has been great. I only purchased 4, and I got those for to use for the holidays. And as you can see here, I have 4. And honestly, I do think I may buy more for next year. So this is the current status of my mantle, and I will show you what that looks like at night. Now, the tapers do actually come with their own little candle holder. These are plastic, but as you can see, I mean, they certainly give you the brass look. They're very pretty. I chose to put them in my own candlesticks, but they certainly would work. And I am thinking I may like these for my windows. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to just put them on a timer, and with a remote, I can set them all pretty much for the same time of day. Also, I did want to share this. It's too beautiful not to share. This I purchased from Linda at New England Fine Living. She's selling those in her shop right now. She has so many beautiful prints. I didn't know which one to choose. This is the one I chose. I love it. It's a replica of an oil painting, and it comes with the frame. If you're interested, I will link her store below. But beautiful, the quality is incredible. So let's move on to the next candle. Now, as you can see, my living room as a whole is done in neutrals. I have neutral carpeting, neutral sofa, neutral walls. What I like to do is I do like to add bits of color here and there, and as you can see, currently I am enjoying the navy blue and green. So as you can see, I have done some layering. Now the only thing on the inside one is the candle itself. I always add a little bit of water to the bottom of my container first because that helps so much with the cleanup. So I have a little beeswax votive in there. However, in the outside, the little hurricane light, I've merely put in some dried navy beans, and then I put in some green split peas to bring in the green in my room that I wanted. So that adds just a little something. And then I've layered it on this. Now this is something Mark actually made for me many years ago. I was visiting my friend in Vermont. She had one that her husband made for her. So of course I took a picture, came home and said, "Can you make me one?" And so I've had this probably at least 10 years. I've used it many, many ways. As you can see, I painted it originally, and then you can see where I went through and just distressed it. However, what I just did a couple weeks ago is I took my new favorite toy, Rub and Buff. I love this stuff. I know it's been around for a while. However, I've just started using it actually this fall, and oh my goodness, I've had so much fun. So I just put on rubber gloves. I put a tiny bit of this, that's all it takes, on the tip of one of my fingers, and I just start rubbing on the raised edges of whatever the item is that I'm using it on, and it just gives it a more old antiqued finish. So that's what I've done with that, and that is display number 1. Now this is not new to those that watched my video a couple weeks ago where I made the baby's breath candle wreath. However, I just wanted to show you again how I'm layering. Now inside I have a collection of seashells. This is quite a large hurricane that I have, and then I just put the candle inside. You do not want to do a regular pillar inside, because what happens as that candle drips, of course, where's it going to go? On top of everything that you have layered down here. So that could be quite a mess. If you're not going to light the candle, obviously, it's just for looks, then don't worry about it. Another option would be, though, is to do a battery operated pillar inside. So inside here I just have, and I did keep the label on, it's actually an older Yankee candle. It's a vanilla scented one, and it's just, I love having a larger size like that because my island is fairly big. And it's just another way to layer. I actually used to work for Yankee Candle. I worked there roughly 10 years ago. I loved it. I mean, my goodness, I was in heaven, just selling candles all day, helping people choose scents and styles. And it was a lot of fun. So because of that, I do have several Yankee candles. If you've never been, they have their home store in South Deerfield, Massachusetts, and that is something to see. His son had opened up Kringle Candle And their location is only, I don't know, 20, 30 miles away. That is in Bernardston, Massachusetts. Adorable town. It's beautiful out there. You have the hills and it's almost a little bit of farm country. Must have, in my opinion, are wick trimmers. They are great. I mean, as you can see how they reach down into large containers. Anytime you light a candle, you always want to make sure that wick is trimmed down to 1/4 inch. And what that is going to do is that's going to give you a more even burn, which is what you want. It's also important when you light a candle that you can burn it at least an hour, because you don't want it to tunnel. You want an even burn, and a good candle is going to do that. So each time before you light your candles, trim them down to 1 inch. So can you use scissors? Certainly. However, when you have a container like this is what you need. The scissors aren't going to do it for you. So I highly recommend those. Now here's another idea on making your own if you want. I actually received this as a gift years ago. I've had it forever, and it had a chocolate votive candle inside. I just have a little tea light in it right now. What happens, as you can see, there are coffee beans melted in wax all around the candle. So really it's just a bowl with a votive holder, and you have melted wax with coffee beans around it. Believe it or not, what does happen, the scent of the coffee beans when they warm, it does fill the air. Now, this is old. This is probably, I'm gonna guess, maybe 12 years old. So it has subdued just a little, and like I said, I just have a tea light in there because at first it was a little overpowering. But another thing that I have done, put a candle just in a container of coffee beans. Again, once the warmth hits those beans, the oils, I believe, is what gives you that fragrance of coffee then. I've taken like a cheaper flavored coffee, and I have just put this in a container, and then, like I said, I put a votive holder or whatever in that container, and yes, it's infused. It gives you that scent. If you don't mind the scent of coffee, of course, it's just a fun way to use candles. Now here's a couple more ideas. If you recall, again, a few videos back, I actually made my own beeswax tree candles. And I just have this again. It has the greenish hue. It's just a little glass vase, I guess you could say, that I purchased at a consignment store. And I did add a little bit of fake snow on the bottom. Now, to be honest, I'm probably not going to burn this candle, not like this. What does happen with these, beeswax is a soft wax, and they do kind of melt down into a puddle at times if you don't have them in a contained holder. Another thing that I did is I took a cheese platter that I had. So this came as is, again, another consignment store. Another way of using candles as a display piece. I will not burn it the way it is right now, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my candle cupboard. I told you I have a lot of candles. I love them. I will burn through these too, believe it or not. Now, it may take me a while. And I have them kind of divided up by scent, by season. But I wanted to share with you also some accessories that are wonderful. The little candle adhesives for tapers are great, honestly, it's not just tapers. You can use it for any candle that you're putting in where the container is larger maybe than the base, or like I'm in a taper, they're a little wobbly, you just stick, it's almost like a little wax glue, and you just stick the bottom of your taper in, and it's amazing. It holds it in place. It's wonderful. I highly recommend these, either one, either any kind. Candle snuffers, they're great, especially if you have a taper or a candle that is down in a container, like I just showed you my larger one on the kitchen table. That situation, they're hard to blow out. It can make quite a mess. Tapers, the wax can go all over. So it's really nice to have little candle snuffers. This one I found at an antique store, so it's kind of a fun one, a little different. Obviously, when you're using this one, it needs to be a taper, something that you can reach quite easily. Okay, here again more with the layering. Now, this is a pedestal I have had for years. Honestly, it may have originally been from like one of those Southern Living parties. I don't know, I honestly don't remember, but I've had it forever. This is an old, like an antique, I believe it was a cookie jar. It came with this lid originally, and I've used it for many, many things. And I just pulled it out the other day. I decided to layer it, so I put it on top of this pedestal, and I just put a candle inside. And it gives a really nice look. I like the shape and style of the jar. So that's another idea. Take what you have and layer. Another example of using a battery operated votive. I've just taken a fun bowl. I've added some pine cones and moss, and I don't know, it looks real. Now, some of you may have already seen this in one of my past videos, but this is my dining room table. And excuse my humidifier in the back there. We need that in these dry old houses. Anyway, again, obviously with the hurricanes, and I just took, this is a real pillar. Now, as you can see, it is burning straight down, so I'm not concerned about it overflowing into this. It's a candle I had been burning before, so I just put that in the hurricane here. I added some white rocks, some broken shells. I don't know if you can see that. Obviously, some greenery that is artificial greenery, and some baby pine cones. And so that is what I have for my dining room table. And yes, I did add some hearts to my mantle. It is Valentine's Day coming up. Now, speaking of Valentine's Day, I thought this was kind of a fun little vignette. Again, a cloche that I had. And this is a ceramic heart with a hand-painted rosebud on it. I love it. It's actually from, I believe it's Hygge pottery in England. And I'm able to do this, of course, because that is not a real votive. So a great way to be able to put things under glass. I have that right now on a little candle wicking plate that I have. I love it. But I wanted to show you how that looks on different plates. So now I've added it to my pewter plate, and that goes very well with the knob on my cloche. So again, a little bit of a different look. And then I also have this little cottage plate. I actually have several of these. I loved the picture on them. And so you add this to that. It's going to give it a more, honestly, a more cottage feel, a more cottage look. But another way to add a cozy feel to the home is using oil lamps. Some would call this more of a kerosene lamp. I have several. I have a lot of the old style. I have smaller sizes. I have much larger than this. And the reason being, for the past 30 years, I have lived in the country in a couple different homes, but it's been in the country. And when you live in the country, it's not uncommon to lose power. And I'm telling you, these come in handy. Now, I use unscented oil in my lamps. These I actually purchased from my friend's garage sale, and she used these in her bed and breakfast on her breakfast table. So it adds a little light coziness character, if you will. Again, add it to a plate. That adds even more of a beautiful look. Look how that does that. Isn't that pretty? So I love these, and again, they are unscented oils, so there's no fumes at all. It's merely giving you the light. This one I want to mention, this was my grandmother's. I love it. I don't use it. I will use it maybe as a display, but it's very near and dear to my heart, so I keep that one always, and I will hand that down to my children. So anyway, some more options for you. Another idea for a battery operated candle, again on a timer. I actually purchased this at a consignment store. There's no glass here. It's just open on top, so you could put a real candle in if you wanted. And I've just filled it with very large pine cones. As many of you have seen, I live in the middle of the woods, so pine cones are very fitting, especially for the winter months. And again, it's on a timer. It comes on and shuts off automatically, and it just adds another bit of coziness to the room. Another lantern with a timed candle in it. It is actually at the bottom of my steps, so it does also serve a purpose as somewhat of a night light, and just another way of using these lanterns. This one I purchased about 3 years ago at TJ Maxx, and like I said, and it just has some wine corks in it. I've collected those through the years. Not too many, but I have some. This is a kerosene lantern, as you can see, that we purchased again at a consignment store. However, I have chose just to add a little tea light to it. I'm not using it as a light per se. I'm merely using it as decor. And then just to show you how I mix real with the battery. And honestly, you can't really tell the difference. I just had to share with you what I am seeing now with everything lit. Cozy is for sure a word I would use to describe. Makes me want to just curl up with a good book in one of those chairs and enjoy. And it's not even dark yet. Imagine at night. Now here I've just taken a single brandy glass that I have, and as you can see, that's the glass. I put it on a tiny little lift inside and added a tea light. So that gives that look there. Another idea of a way to use a single glass. If you find just a single glass that you like, add a little tea light or a votive in it and use it as your little candle holder. That could also be a pretty centerpiece, maybe say on the middle of a charcuterie board, or just as a little display on a windowsill or a shelf. Very easy to do with any kind of glass. Here is a replica of an old copper brass kerosene lamp. Again, I put a timer taper in there, so it comes on automatically every evening, whatever time I choose to. But it gives a nice little glow to this corner of the kitchen. Another one of my timer candles. Again, automatic on and off. It has the reflection of the mirror, which makes it extremely cozy coming through the hallway at night. Well, that concludes my little candle tour for the day, friends. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I also hope I was able to inspire or give you some ideas on how to use candles in your home. It does add so much coziness, or as they say, Hygge, to a home. So go pull those candles out of the drawers that you've been saving, or better yet, go shopping. There's so many fun choices out there. Have a wonderful week, friends. Thank you for joining me today, and we will see you next time.